You're about to watch something that might not be what you think it is, because the truth is, most people don't see reality as it is. They see it as they are, and that's the problem. The same mind that judges, reacts, and points fingers is the same mind that refuses to turn inward and ask, why did that trigger me in the first place? See, when something angers you, it owns you, but worse, when nothing angers you at all, because maybe that doesn't mean you're healed. Maybe it means you've been conditioned not to see, not to question, not to act. That's how entire systems stay broken. People blocked by their own biases, their own unexamined beliefs, calling themselves aware, educated, or even good, but never doing the one thing that would actually prove it, self-evaluation. Now, take that a step deeper. What you call trauma, what you call abuse, what you call survival, isn't just something that happened to you. It shaped how you perform, how you adapt, how you read danger, how you stay alive in rooms that you were never meant to be safe. And some people get very good at that game. So good, you can't tell if they're healing or surviving. But here's the real question. If help was supposed to exist, why did it become the danger? If people claimed they could protect, serve, guide, or heal, why hasn't that job been done yet? And if money was taken, where is the integrity? Because integrity isn't words. It isn't titles. It isn't a confession. Integrity is what you repair. And right now, nothing has been repaired. So this isn't just a story. This is a challenge to you, to them, to anyone who ever claimed they had answers, because this is the game. And in this game, you don't win by pretending. You win by proving it. Well, I don't have my random crap around. Oh, wait, what do I got? Here, let's see. With this book. Let's see what we got in here. Oh, she's here. Somebody's gonna have to explain to me again the stock thing, because I'm like confused. Well, hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Great, thank you.
I didn't advertise or promote anything for anyone else, so I'm like, it's good because I think we can do our little series this way, which I think has actually been better, and then can build on that. So uh, that actually works better because the flow, otherwise it can get screwed up. Because okay, Arnold, you got to step it up, and we can get you as a good base, and then we can develop your character into something else, which will be a little more fun.
Cool.
So I am going to pull up because I know we were talking about the villain thing, and we're gonna pause that for a second because we're gonna go back to a more reality presentation, and then we're gonna tie that back in to hearing about your villain, because that adds in. Let's see if I can get this. I do this and then I don't know if I get the right screen, so hold on. Can you see my screen? That's
Yes.
yeah, okay, hold on. You never know on this one. Okay, you can see that. What does it look like to you? Oh, wait.
Mine's
Oh, we have okay. We have somebody else. Well, hello. We're gonna have a small group. What we're gonna do, oh, okay. I don't know if he's coming in or not, and we lost him. That's fine. Either way we can go with this because it still ties it in if he comes in or not. That's fine. Because what we're going to tie it back to in what we were talking about is the psychology piece. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad.
And welcome.
Thank you.
a small group. We've been working on talking about like psychology piece of our bodies and our minds in relation to the Matrix and then character development. So a big part,
Okay.
I know you've been following along and see, stuff that seems random. But I pretty much eat chocolate every day. Um, Not a lot. Not a lot, enough to feel bad about. It actually does link to something that is education of both, like for an individual, their own mind in relation to how they feel about their body and the programming and where it comes from the subconscious to the conscious. And then that links into a global game of the Matrix. So that's kind of the fun part that switches into the fiction part. So a little bit of background. I know Trisha knows, but even in Elegantly Outrageous in the development, like the person who actually drew even these cartoons is a Hollywood director. He was one of the films he was a director on was X-Men. So there's a lot of character development to get people to think of themselves as both superheroes and villains. So this presentation is a little more practical. The first one we did, I know you missed, we do it in cycles, but sometimes we go a little more eccentric with the characters and sometimes then we bring it back to reality. So this one we're going a little more reality, which is a good base, and then we'll link back up to that because Trisha last week was working on her villain. Because hello, I'm Candice K. Gibb with Red Lifestyles Group is my agency. I don't have anything particular to say, but I'm definitely very interested in a broadcasting opportunity, interacting with fans, as well as just people that have questions. I wouldn't necessarily say fans for myself. I don't really like that category. That's a part for all of us to understand. We want to understand ourselves in the world and when we're villains and how we even talk and treat ourselves, because that's what the important thing is. It's like, when are we our best friend or when are we our own enemy? And then how that relates to what we attract. So mindset and intention kickoff is to set yourself up for success with health and wellness goals, but to understand where the belief around, if we feel, of course, if you feel fitter and stronger and we feel better. So traditionally, what is your biggest fear with your appearance and what others think? Because the reality is we can say, oh, I don't care what others think as much as we want, but it is a truth, right? One of the big things I did, honestly, in my depression, when I was feeling like I was so far gone, I was like, just screw it and dance for nobody but myself. I was so far gone and then embarrassed because it felt like energies. What if somebody ever saw those videos? My brain's more in a build the business, try to figure stuff out mode, but I have too much on my plate. It's like, okay, gotta get a table, gotta design this, gotta get, like, it's so all over the place. It just, like, then you just shut down. So if I had the business functioning, I was working on whatever else and I had stuff going, then I'd enjoy designing stuff. Then it would be fun to like design the house, buy new stuff, shop for something. But because I'm not in that mindset, it's like a chore. Let's just like get something in. So it's not like an enjoyable process. But the difference is if we don't, and we've put ourselves there because of circumstances or a situation, we're going through a rough time in our life, right? Like other things at times have to take a priority. That's true. And then that can have an effect on our body or our weight or any of those things. How are we talking to ourselves in that process, though? How are we understanding ourselves? My weight has always fluctuated. At times I'm heavier, thinner, and sometimes I put myself back there on purpose without realizing it because for myself, I've had my food addiction in my life has been binge eating, right? That when I'm stressed, I overeat, and then that links to self-worth. Oh my God, now I'm not good enough. Well, that's the issue. That's part of us at that time, and to believe we're not good enough, that's not true. But the weight is a symptom that something else is wrong, which links to stress. And that's for every individual. And not every individual, though, carries weight the same way either. And there's a big misunderstanding, especially coming from the fitness industry and a lot of arrogant fucks. I'm just going to say this directly, that are very small-minded and stupid because every human's weight hold or every body holds weight different. There's people that are a lot healthier, have better energy than me, and look heavier and different things because the body holds weight different, right? Every individual is different, and that relates to energy because humans are only energy, and that actually still stems from the thoughts. So there's times where the fitness industry, I'm just challenging them because a lot of them are small-minded, unfortunately. Just vanity is not going to get you very far in life. Okay, so thinking in terms of health goals for yourself, right? So the truth, you have to come back to the base is brutal honesty. And brutal honesty is, how am I feeling about my body? How do I live inside my body? This is the only thing we have is presence, right? But our mind escapes. That's the thing of the past. If we're holding on to something in the past, that's where depression can come from. And sometimes our like we go through periods where the depression is very real because we're stuck in something and we don't have the skills to get ourselves out of that. And that keeps our brain, every human has PTSD. What degree, when, where, and why, that's different based on what trauma somebody experiences. At some point, every human is going to experience trauma, but people that have early links to a trauma that's from their childhood don't even realize that's why they keep themselves stuck. Like, where did the programming about our health come from in the first place, or our body? Like, where did that come from? We're born into this world, we're born worthy, but then we're born into a set of circumstances in a household. In the household, was there extreme control? Was there issues around if you're allowed to have something, not allowed to have something? Were you shamed? Like, everybody's different. Then they go to school. Okay, what's the programming there? And then the circumstances. So there's times where did you feel loved and where did you feel not loved? And everybody has a different degree of that, but understanding the brutal honesty now as adults with ourselves, because if we have pain is a sign that something is wrong, and pain will only leave our bodies when it's done teaching us.
Eating me alive. And I mean, with the eating thing, I mean, like you said, you get that. So that kind of came, I don't know if it comes along with it. I don't know if
Not okay today, and I'm getting rid of the stuff. How I like this whole fucking back to the spiritual stuff and how people are full of crap. So I kind of found out what the pain, well, I guess I did find out what the pain was. The hernia that I have, I had cysts burst under the hernia. So that is the metaphysical worlds that comes, right? Like, if you have inflammation, that's a very real thing. That's a symptom, or that's something else. You're intolerant to something. There's something that you're doing. There's something in your environment that is triggering you. There's the practical sense of, okay, what is it? But that might not last forever either. Even like food intolerances and allergies, they come in cycles for people. Autoimmune, the same thing. But that relates even to the energies around us, the people around us, and that can make a big difference. Why we choose, and even our own families and our own circumstances, they're all a way. It's our subconscious brain. That's what we chose to have around us, right? We teach people how to treat us, and if we're not liking the way we're being treated, we have to evaluate why we're allowing it. And then if you set boundaries and people don't respect those boundaries, and it hurts their feelings, what are they doing to you? Like, why are you justifying yourself by going and putting yourself down first to then cater to other people? Well, you could end up dead if you do that, right? Like, we have to understand that we have to take care of ourselves first, and if we want to be the best version of ourselves, to then take care of people we love. And genuine people that love us would always understand that. And if they don't, it's because you just took away something that they were taking from you. And that's their issue, not yours. But we have to understand that as a base. But the brutal honesty is, where are you at with your body? How you feel with your body? What pain, what issues you have, and what you're doing to yourself to continue that cycle. Why? Why? Right? And that's a hard one to face. And if you have the belief that you're not good enough, or if you're not a certain whatever, where did that come from in the first place? So dreams to goals, and that's where you have to, this is the imagination part, dreaming a little bit, letting your mind wander. If you don't see yourself right? That's the future and the projections, and that's then where anxiety comes from, because we can self-sabotage if we feel we don't deserve something, right? If you don't see yourself as the best version of yourself in a certain body type, feeling a certain way, you're never going to get there. But it's impossible. Okay, you have to see it. Now, people can get there, but they don't hold on to it because they don't feel that they deserve it, so they go back to self-sabotage because something in the brain has not been healed, and that's the subconscious, not the conscious. It's the subconscious, and until it gets to the conscious, it doesn't go on to autopilot to be able to move on to the next thing. We go to whatever other distractions, and that could be, every human's an addict. It's just how healthy is the addiction or not. If it's healthy habits, that's good, yes, but if you lost the ability to have those healthy habits, what would replace that habit? A lot of times for people, they don't realize they're workaholics. The spiritual journey, you gotta go through all the fucking things, right? You actually gotta feel yourself transforming into all this fucked up shit, right? And it turned but I had to document it on the side and send it nowhere, and you guys would be proving it on that side. That's the science and God thing, right? But that's where we match up, and that's where we're trying to match, right? Like when we're on the timelines versus, like we are now in present time, I believe, but that's where this quote unquote avatar thing, that's why you switched it. Like I'm like, it's a different energy. That's the only way I can explain it. What are the things you can't explain? What's love, right? Like why you do, like what you see, what you notice, right? There's so much happening in the world that we don't pay attention to. Why it's not your little world, right? Your little world. There's so many different worlds, billions and billions, right? And it's right here in front of us, right? We really are, right, one with the, and we've proven life after death. And there's an order now, bitch, right? And it starts on this side. I told you guys we're on the fucking Titanic. Mike Tyson versus Butterbean. Guys, we're not doing ties. We already fucking talked about that this morning. God damn it. That's a major distraction. A major one. It's probably one of the number one in the world. And that people go, they escape their family, they escape their situations. They tell themselves, oh, I'm providing everything, the XYZ, but are they really present for their family? Are they really there? Most of the time the answer is no, but they tell themselves something else because they're avoiding something. If they lost the privilege and they lost their health to be able to do what they were doing, what addiction would replace it? That's just psychology 101. So it's understanding ourselves and what we do and the actions we take. So then we can come up with that personalized action plan for where we're at in our real circumstances. It's not realistic to set health goals either if our life at a time is falling apart and the priority needs to be something else. It might be the priority needs to be, I just need to reset, I need to heal. I don't need to set a crazy fitness goal because that's not where I'm at yet, because I need to sort out my issues in my household. I need to sort out certain things with my family. I say, so yeah, right now I'm going to be, I had to face that. I'm going to be overeating right now and I feel like crap. Yep, that's my escapism and I feel bad about these things, but I'm dealing with a lot of heavy shit right now and that's what it is. And I need to understand that and then get through this part so that I can have the privilege of being able to get into that regimented workout routine, because I don't have that privilege, because right now my priorities are getting this part of my life sorted out. And being, and just understanding it. Trying to understand your circumstances without judgment. That's one of the hardest things to do, right? So setting your intention when you're going into that is, what's that outcome that you are looking to achieve, and are you showing up to play full out? Like you have to be fully in and committed to yourself, not half-assed, right? Most people do not commit to themselves, and then in a way somebody else really is controlling your mind and your brain. Like you're on autopilot, you're just going through life, but you're not leading your own life. You're just being led by everybody else's pre-programming perceptions of you and just going along with whatever everybody else wants. Well, then you're not in charge of your own life. That's the difference in truly committing and going, no, I'm all in. But setting goals that you really want to do. A lot of times if we set goals and we don't hit those goals, it's because maybe those goals came from the idea that somebody else told us we had to do those goals, and you never even wanted to do it in the first place, if you were really honest. And that comes like just in life in general, like things that you're supposed to do, right? 30. Right? We're supposed to have X amount of dollars. We're supposed to live in this type of house. We're supposed to, but maybe it's like, actually, I don't care about that, or I don't want to. That's not actually, that's society's goals or what my family told me I'm supposed to do, but it's not really what I want to do, right? That's why most people fall short of a lot of goals, is because they didn't actually, if they really want to do that. So are you sabotaging your own success? Are you being honest with what you really want? Because if you were being honest with what you really want, nothing would stand in your way. That's the truth. You'd be committed to yourself, and then that would have a positive impact on the people that you love. It would. And they'd be understanding, because then they're doing the same thing, and then you're working off of each other. So visually creating your ideal happy day. And what does that mean to live your best life? You have to visually see, like in a perfect world, take away all the limitations. What would you be waking up doing? How would your day go? Where would you be and who would you be with the most perfect day, right? How would you act in your day? What would you consider a win and success? How does your body feel in that day? Most people, and myself included, and most humans, it's the majority of humans are more addicted and understanding of feeling pain than they are of feeling non-pain. That's why we go back to it. We are so accustomed to believing we're supposed to be miserable, and that's our comfort zone. It's not a human's comfort zone, actually, even though we do so many, like you get comfortable and we want comfort, the laziness, but that keeps the pain, is where most people's norm is. 99% of the population. That's the norm, because we don't even know what it's like to feel like, holy shit, I didn't realize what it's like to not feel pain. And there's a science award for $100 billion, right? Maybe I will think to go against Andrea Jim Quick. Oops, I fucked that up. Damn it. Keanu actually beat you in there, Charlize, right? Because of this whole fucking situation with this South Africa thing. Everybody's getting frustrated. Uh-oh, girls. Right? It's not looking good for you. I guess guys, fair is fair. They actually got that one. It could be just little things in our body, little thing, or, even irritants is like with our coworkers or people around or something, we're irritated and we're just, polite and nice and whatever to deal with. But we're like, we take that on. The body physically takes that on when we're around the wrong people. You walk in a room and you're like, I don't like this person, or something happens. You feel it in your body. You got to think that holds in your body if it's not properly released. It really does. So are you proactive or reactive? Most people are reactive because they don't go through, and you now see, just being on here, you're making an exception. You're going, wait a minute, I'm thinking different. I'm wanting to be different. I'm understanding that, yeah, I want to be proactive. I want to plan this. I want to understand myself, and I want to understand my own actions. So you have to become a detective in your own life, analyzing everything you do. And if you don't, like, really, who else will? Like, and understand that. So points to consider: are your health goals truly in line with your lifestyle and your current priorities? This is where most people fail. They hire a trainer, or get a workout and a diet, and it's not aligned. And most are cookie cutter systems. They are, no matter how good the trainer is, because that trainer too that's a reflection of themselves, right? And the team's a reflection of themselves, and that's what it is. And that's not always aligned. And that's nothing wrong with that either, because there's a lot of people who set up and they're ready for that, and then they're aligned with the right trainer, and that keeps them going. But if it's not where your lifestyle is, you're not going to be successful, and that's why people fall short. And then sometimes they blame the trainer, and it could be the best trainer and the best system, but they're like, and the issue is because it's not in an alignment, and then that's not fair to the trainer. So it goes both ways. Are you a mindful eater? Or do you just go and eat whatever you want whenever, or do you stop? Do you enjoy it? Do you take the time to understand what you're eating? Do you go through the process of going, wow, it's slowing down in your eating? I know I rush eating. I have like more prison mentality. I guess I was in a different way. I'm like, that I rush, I get anxiety, because the belief around this is food, is this food good for me or bad for me? The labeling of that is an issue at all. It shouldn't be that. If you choose to eat something, anything, well, that's a choice, right? Versus like, but the anxiety comes from too in a binge eat for the like people that do that is the guilt attached to the belief that this is something that's bad. Well, then you just own it and make the decision. I'm having this. Why? And understand why. Okay. I understand though, this will be the effect it has on my body, and later I'm going to be paying the price for that. But then now I'm a big girl, I'm taking responsibility, and then eventually that cycle will start to break if we can break the judgment, but the understanding of it. And that is a difficult process to do. But are you aware of your own how your thoughts affect your weight and your beliefs around that? Because it really does. It holds an energy, just the belief around that alone. So taking action, are you self-aware? Have you analyzed your habits? Are your goals realistic to move you forward based on your current reality, based on your present circumstances right now? Is it realistic? But you have to make the decision that you're worth it. That's the first one. The first one is I'm worth something. I'm worth it. I'm in this world. I was born worthy, and I'm just as worthy as anyone else. Nobody's more worthy than me or not. It's both, right? That's why do some people get to do XYZ and others don't? Well, that's a decision, right? But we're all, and that's a metaphor of the Matrix, we're all born into different circumstances. Pretend it's like you're born into a video game, and your character, there's analyze the strengths and the weaknesses in that circumstance, and that could be external material things and support and help. Well, they're born into more privilege. Yep. But that's a different level of the game. And you got to think, if those people are born into all that privilege and they just waste it, you'd really have to think on a different level. I get into a whole different psychology, and those people aren't grateful that they're going to die and get an upgrade. No, right? Fill in the blank for 300K. We'll go back to that. Buy it. Ready? Or nothing's going to happen. I'd say they'd get a severe downgrade if you just don't acknowledge that, because it's a metaphor. If you don't use it in this, you lose it. Things we don't appreciate or give attention to, we lose. And then people wonder why, but that's how it works, right? Something you giving love, attention, it flourishes and grows. Don't, it dies. We're either growing or dying, but nothing in nature and in life even is always going to bloom, right? So we have to go through a dying period ourselves, even in our own bodies. Maybe that means getting rid of the extra baggage and the crap that was unnecessary. Well, you're worth it too. It's like, I don't need to hold on to this. I have to let it go so that I can grow as a person. I got to die first. No, that's not. So that's that part. One thing we had talked about, and I know Ryan, you weren't here for this discussion. Let me stop sharing. But last we had spoke about. So Trisha and I we were talking about with that creating a villain, right? The inner villain, that's the character that maybe we want to understand, because it could be that for ourselves that we all, it's the yin to the yang. There's no dark without light. And all of us have a part of us that are dark, right? We have dark thoughts. Okay, well, they need to be understood. We'll create a character around that. Now, when is that villain? How is that? And a lot of us are people that like, I'm not going to hurt anyone else around me. No, but I'm now hurting myself. So who's that villain? Well, I'm a super mean girl to myself. Well, why am I doing that? Because I'm frustrated with things going on around me. Okay, but I shouldn't be punishing myself. But as humans, we all have anger. Where are we taking that anger out? When, where, and why? And how are we releasing that energy? And if we don't release it, we'll die. That's actually really what cancer is. Cancer is overtakers and overgivers at the first base, and the lack of being able to release that energy because it's taken in. And then every other disease, in a way, goes down from that because everything is energy. So, Trisha, do you want to explain some of your villain?
Okay. So the first question was, when do I betray myself to keep someone else comfortable? I'm guilty as hell doing this most of the time because of my stepmother. Pleasing was better than the outcome. Nowadays, far too many get offended over small things. I'm ADHD, and who knows? So many people say I should be on the spectrum. Probably should be. So I keep quiet so I don't embarrass friends and family when out in fear that I may say or do things to push people away. That was the first one.
Side note,
Second,
everybody has ADHD or OCD. They either got extreme OCD, which is a privileged disease. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
You can be that, and that's fear. What's what? I don't know. Where are we? Who's the character? Who's playing who? Who's messing with who? What are we doing? I don't even understand this. I don't know. I don't know. And it's control. Or you have ADD when our brain is linked to trauma. And some people have a mix of both. It's understanding where and when. They just need labels for it. But everybody has it, just different degrees. So don't feel bad about that.
no, I'm me. What lies do I repeat that I now believe? It would be I'm okay. Most parts I am okay, but I drowned a lot because I pushed past trauma down. I know I'm not okay for the most part when it sneaks up to the surface, but I know it's just a mask. And then, if I was truly to believe I was worthy of respect, what would I stop tolerating immediately? I would immediately stop allowing people to abuse my kindness. I would stop doing things until they show me appreciation for all I do, if either for family or friends. I don't want to be praised, but I do so much for so many people, and I just feel they do take advantage of it, especially my kids, because they know I'm
Oh, they're the worst. That's
yes.
where I say, you know what? That's it. Hey, right? But the representation of mom gave you life and she can take it away. So maybe I
Yeah.
gotta be a little meaner now because hold on here, right?
Yeah.
No.
I just told my 17-year-old this morning, I love you to death. I will do anything for you. But right now, I really hate your shitty attitude. And if you don't change it, you will be walking to the gym every day.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing is, kids should have a little bit of a fear of their parents. They should.
Yeah.
There's a difference of you give your kids unconditional love, but if they cross the boundaries, you're the authority figure, and if they think it's okay to mistreat you, no, that's an issue. And it's almost a metaphor of what's happening now in the world today is that it's an entitled generation who thinks they can and play bigger victim and do no. That's not how the system works. And look, I found out there's some sort of an internet game, right? And the only way to win it, it's kind of like a universal prison, is you got to pick a fight properly with somebody because that's how you build your street credit. So if I pick with just a person that's not that good, right, then it's not going to give me enough street credit. So I'll just pick a war with him because it looks like that would be to end the thing, and there's a lot of stuff that people would be afraid of. So I'll just start there. And then we'll see how it makes it through, because then I can up the ranks in this universal prison. So I got to pick something somewhere. Why? I don't know. It just seems like somebody I'd be able to pick fight with and right mess up. Usually the ones with the muscles are a little bit slower. So the respect of this household. And if you don't respect it, your ass is on the street and figure it out. It really, and I know that's a tough thing, but we have to, as parents, the best parenting is teaching them the skills to be functional. And in life, they cannot mistreat other people. But why do they get to walk all over you as a parent? No.
I mean that's kind of how we were raised, right? And that's kind of done. I mean, you don't necessarily need to have an iron fist, I guess,
Yeah.
but I find that I can totally relate to that. In my past relationship, that was probably one of the biggest things that I had struggled with. Was, you had alluded to earlier, I was a provider, and it kind of, the way my ex-partner, she didn't work, she didn't have a job. We had the luxury of her being able to stay home and doing all that stuff. But with that being said, her being around the kids, she had the most influence. So after we split up, there was no respect there. There was no, they didn't understand or give me the respect to, I almost had to earn the trust of my children all over again after we split out. I've done a good job since then, but there's still times, yeah, that the entitlement and stuff is there. And that's just not my parenting style. I'm an actual parent as opposed to being their
That's the
friend.
harder
I'm not,
job.
yeah, I'm
And
not
that's
here to be their
parenting.
friend.
Yeah, you people that you cannot be your kid's friend for
Yeah.
you have that means unconditional love, yes.
Yeah.
If the girls weren't teaching me how to be a proper gold digger, how would we have the pirate game for you guys to go find a treasure? So, Raphael, like you thought you'd be better than Cash, right? As if
Yeah.
that not dictatorship.
Yeah.
But the misunderstanding of that in the world now of people wanting to be their kid's friend first, that actually, and I'm just going to say this straight as a victim of it, it's a pedophile brain.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
is, because their brain is stuck as a child
Yeah.
and they need friends and they don't know how to interact with
Yeah.
adults.
Yeah.
No, the harder job is discipline
Yeah.
with love. Hey, and following through with that discipline so your kids really trust you, because you know what?
Sure.
They need to respect you before they like you.
Yeah. And they
They
do.
do.
Yeah, they do fear me. They know that when I say something, and it's not, again, I'm not raising an iron fist. I'm just
Yeah.
basically telling them as it is. This house, I demand respect. I demand you. When I say no, no means no. When I tell you something once, okay, you may not listen. If I say it twice, I'm going to say it a little bit more firm. If I got to say something to you 3 or 4 times, then we clearly have a problem here. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's taken a little while to get there, but each day, each week, it's getting better and better. But I can totally relate to that for sure.
And that's the issue with, as you mentioned, with your in partnerships. And Trisha, I
Yeah.
don't know how it is with your husband, but that's where, it's tough if the partner's not like, and I don't know, but I'm saying like in a true running functional household, mom and dad have to be on the same page. And if your
Yeah.
kids disrespect the other partner, it has to
Yeah.
be, no, you don't talk to that might be your mother or that might be your
Yeah.
father. You don't talk
Yeah.
to my husband that way. You don't talk to
Yeah.
my wife that way. So
Yeah.
they know the proper system. And that's how kids get confused when
Yeah.
both people aren't on the same page. And that goes back to the respect, because that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
That,
And for me, it's difficult because they're living in 2 separate households
I
at the moment,
understand
right?
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the consistency that I try to, you know, put into everything when they're with me, and then they go home for a week and then they come back, and it's like this reoccurring cycle over and over again, trying to establish those boundaries and
Yeah.
and that. But they're getting older. I have an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old, so their minds are still developing and they're understanding. But I do feel the last little while, I do feel that since they're getting older, they're able to form their own opinions and they're able to see stuff. And I find that they are reaching out to dad more and saying, hey, I want to come to your house. And I think that's because of the consistent style that I have, and it's caring and it's fair and it's, but they still, you do good and I'm going to be good to you type thing. Right. So yeah.
Yep. Agree.
Yeah.
Do you have a few more, Trisha?
What part of my identity has created to survive my past but no longer serves the person I am today? I think that people pleaser as much as I like to be there for people. I think more with my heart and being over compassionate.
Well, Cash is the main character. There we go. All right, and the rest of you are just like sidekicks. And this goes back to Kevin's award that he thinks he got, but really hasn't got, because none of us are out of the tank. And then the $7, and then this, we better have a plan B, right? Your middle name's Matt. And this is, and then New York. Okay, right. Toronto, so we don't trust the man from Toronto, we don't trust that. Am I gonna get credit though for pulling off this best scam? Wasn't there a contest?
I'm beginning as I get older. I'm not seeing I do too much for others and not enough for me. I can't save others if I don't save me. And that's when I told you about my dream that one time where somebody was going to jump out the building. I had ran up there to save them and pulling them to safety. I fell down. I think that was the way of the universe saying, slow down, stop effing saving everybody else. And
Because the person really, after you understand that, and I went through this too, that we're mad when we want, oh, like say we're so giving, we're so loving, and we want to help everyone,
Hmm.
and then we're angry only when we don't get that respect and people don't
Yeah.
see it. But
Yeah.
ironically, we can't even that the person that's still in the way is ourselves because you
Yeah.
cannot expect that from anyone, and even that expectation is wrong. So it has to come back to ourselves to
Yeah.
go, why am I allowing these people to mistreat me? Because you never want to change who you are. Don't
Hmm.
change being a kind person. Never. But we
Yeah.
want to redirect so that we have a firmer belief, like understanding self-respect and going, no, I'm not allowing this
Yeah.
from you to mistreat me. No, but I'm not going to stop being a kind person. And then it redirects that energy into the right things.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
right? Because it's the only block is yourself still, right? When we all
Yeah.
face it at different times. What does that mean? Because China, you were fucking around, right? You took it over, right? Did you crush Russia on that, right? Russia and China, where you guys were, right? But then that was more like was a China thing, right? So China, are you working with fucking CIA now? So you are working with the American government? What are we doing?
100%. Yeah. Yeah. I'm that way too. I'm a very giving person. I think that I can agree with what Trisha said there, that, I do a lot, and I might, not that I expect a lot, but I expect some kind of acknowledgement to a certain degree, but then I get let down because certain things aren't reciprocated. And then it goes back to your point where, okay, if you're going to do something, you're going to have to do it and just accept who people are. You can't control who they are. You can only control how you feel. So if you're going to do something and still continue to be this kind person, you just have to be able to accept who they are and not expect anything in return, right?
And exactly, and then hopefully in the circumstances find better people because there's not
Exactly.
everybody's like that, right?
Exactly.
And then
Yeah.
that's true when you get in teams. Kids
Yeah.
is different because it's different on the pyramid. Oh, it
For
is,
sure. For
right?
sure.
But our, as far as peers and people we work with or who we invite in our lives, right? That's different. So we're running out of time, so I just want to give so to this week think about what the challenge is going to be is exact honesty with present circumstances, kind of going back to what we're brutal honesty with how you feel about like so making like the list of priorities on what needs to be accomplished and achieved first, but based on where you're really at. So how do you feel about your body? How do you feel about the circumstances you're in, like the feelings around it? But then also here, what are the things and the priorities that like see if where there's a match and where there's a mismatch. This is what I'm really dealing with. These are what my real symptoms are. This is how I really feel about it. Okay, but this is where my head's been. And see, so that's going to be kind of the homework to sit and reflect on.
Okay.
Okay?
Perfect.
That makes sense.
Makes
Awesome.
sense.
Thanks, guys.
Have
Thank
a great
you.
day, you guys.
Thanks. Take
Bye.
care. Bye bye.
Bye.